Andy Fitzell and I did a three-dimensional study on Rafa to show him that if he lowered his toss and got the ball further out in front, because the upper arm is the key unit on the serve, and they never even told me. We saw him change it right away, but I got a call from Switzerland saying, "How much did Rafa pay you?" And I said, "For what?" He said, "Well, I was there when your DVD arrived and they changed his serve that day." But the biggest thing I found in coaching is you're absolutely right. You can help certain things, but I always tried to get my students, like when I started Tracy Austin when she was a little girl, and I wanted to make sure she talked to Kramer and Segura and anybody else, that because everybody's got something to offer, and it's not what you offer, it's what the student is willing to accept. And so
we have about 3 more minutes in live air, and so one thing I'm a proponent of is that a junior player ought to have someone who is their head coach. So they might go and take lessons from someone else, but they'll come back to their head coach and they'll say, "Hey, this is what I'm learning from so-and-so. What do you think about this? How does this mesh with what we're doing?" Can you speak to that?
Yeah, most coaches don't like that, but I do. I think because physics dictates what happens to a ball, and if somebody's got a theory that makes sense and adds up, and you can calculate it, it's incumbent upon the coach to make the appropriate changes, and the head coach. And so for me, I learned as much just asking questions, having my student ask questions of other players. I wanted them to execute that kind of thinking, and we've done some pretty exciting things on brain typing, and there are certain students who don't want a lot of data, and there are other students who really want to make sense. So it's very important for coaches to understand how a student's brain is wired so that you know how much you can give them and what to expect.
Yes. I had a beginner girl who is very creative, and she has a very much an artistic side, and we were talking about the swing path, and she said, "It's like putting frosting on cupcakes." And I stopped. I was stunned. And I said, "Yes, very large cupcakes." Because, and you know, I couldn't. For me to dismiss what her understanding of that would have been a mistake. So I just had to redirect it and say, yes, we're talking about spreading icing on very large cupcakes. So is that kind of an example of the brain typing?
Yeah, well, the way you're describing this girl, she's a right-brainer and doesn't like heavy mathematical concepts.
Right.
But, and I think coaches are challenged each day when they're giving a lesson because most kids, I've always said, if you can go to the drinking fountain, make the water spout hit your mouth, you can play good tennis, good instruction. And there are coaches who really understand their role, and there are coaches who really are just dictators. And we did a study at the research center. We had people come to young kids, and they were coaching other kids, and we wanted to see whether their style of coaching, we could identify who their head coach was, or their own adult coach was. And we were right most of the time. The kids who worked on punishment had coaches who worked on punishment. Like, if you didn't do this right, give me 5 push-ups, things like that. And the kids who were lucky enough to have coaches who were very intelligent in their approach, we found their students did the same.